So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to announce exciting new initiatives by the Small Business Administration of the United States of America to expand financing to climate projects and clean energy small businesses here in Boston and all across our country. I want to thank Kimberly Lyle of Dorchester Bay Development Corporation and Isaac Baker of Resident Energy for providing us with a tour and hosting us here today. I also want to thank Climate and Local Champions for being here. Brian Sweat, the City of Boston's first Chief Climate Officer. Bob Nelson, the SBA District Director for Massachusetts. And Sanjay Seth from EPA Region 1. And I especially want to thank SBA Administrator Isabella Guzman for coming to Dorchester today for this announcement. She is an historic figure as the administrator of the SBA, and today is just another further advancement of the path-breaking way in which she is taking the SBA into territory that it has never been before. And that is this solar and climate-related technology investment that is going to revolutionize the way in which we fight climate change in our country. Last August, I was in Dorchester at Franklin Field with Mayor Wu, Governor Healy, and EPA Administrator Regan, celebrating the launch of the $27 billion Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which is based on my National Climate Bank and is the single largest new investment in the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm very grateful for President Biden and Vice President Harris for supporting me in putting the $27 billion into the Inflation Reduction Act. And as we know, the Inflation Reduction Act is just another way of saying the biggest climate bill in the history of the world. And this is the largest single new project inside of that legislation. Back then, we highlighted how Massachusetts' first in the nation climate bank stands to leverage millions, actually tens of millions of dollars from the National Climate Bank to build and decarbonize affordable housing in Massachusetts. So it's fitting that we're back in Dorchester at an affordable, resource-efficient housing development to announce that SBA and EPA are teaming up to make billions of dollars of climate bank dollars go even further. The National Climate Bank program includes $20 billion for a national network of nonprofit community lenders and other financial institutions to fund tens of thousands of climate and clean energy projects, projects that can change lives right here in Massachusetts. And we're seeing it on the roof of this building right here today. 10 years ago, I included National Climate Bank legislation in the first comprehensive climate bill to ever pass a chamber of Congress. That was known as the Waxman-Markey bill. We had a vision of a one-of-a-kind engine that would propel our climate goals into climate gains for communities, especially lower income communities all across our country. And I made sure that the program that made it into the Inflation Reduction Act was clear. At least 40% of the climate bank funding had to be spent in the communities that need it the most, those that have been historically locked out of the clean energy economy revolution for decades. Well, all of that changes with the Green Energy Bank. All of that changes with the new SBA policies. That effort paid off today. Today we have a program that could unleash as much as $250 billion for climate and clean energy projects over the next 10 years, with more than 70% of that money going to support environmental justice communities. That's exponential growth. And exponents are investors' favorite number because they make more money when you have exponential growth. And with the incredible new partnership from the Small Business Administration, lenders serving small businesses can take advantage of federal resources, guarantees, and clean energy tax incentives that will stretch dollars even further to finance and empower the small businesses that power our communities here in Massachusetts. And that's why we're here with Resonant Energy, a small Boston-based solar company with a mission to empower environmental justice communities. Resonant facilitated installation of low-cost rooftop solar for this affordable housing unit, lowering operating costs and saving residents as much as $1,300 a month. So today, SBA isn't just the Small Business Administration. It stands for Solar-Based Affordability, a new SBA. And by the way, when I say Resonant as a company is small, it now has hundreds of projects right now it's working on all across the Commonwealth. Hundreds. So this is just an example of the revolution, the solar revolution that is being unleashed in our own state. And by the way, we're already one of the highest per capita installers of solar in the entire country. We're not the perfectly sunny state. Most of the time we're the perfectly cloudy state, but we're figuring it out. And we're using every square inch available in order to deploy this very efficient, electricity bill reducing, climate fighting solar technology all across the Commonwealth. So while today we're at an affordable housing development, we could just as easily be at a school, a nonprofit, a house of worship, or one of the company's other 250 solar projects. So this funding is going to make it possible, for example, for black churches in Roxbury to put solar panels on their roofs. And then you could have charging stations there in the community. So this is revolutionary, it's transformative, and it's going to absolutely be the model for the rest of the country. And so we have a great new day that is dawning, and with SBA's new Green Lender Initiative, we'll see more of these projects. The partnership between the National Climate Bank funding from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Small Business Administration, plus the availability of clean energy tax incentives, will help small businesses build clean, new energy projects and invest in energy efficiency, demand management, heating and cooling, and alternative transportation. Small businesses are at the core of who we are in Massachusetts. These business leaders are cornerstones of our communities and are a true source of renewable energy as they power our economy. Massachusetts is home to over 100,000 clean energy jobs right now, and 7,300 clean energy businesses, 85% of which are small businesses with fewer than 50 employees. And Massachusetts is a leader not just in the number of jobs, but also the quality of jobs, paying the highest clean energy median wage in the United States of America. So these are good jobs, good paying jobs, and we lead the whole country in terms of how much money workers make when they are in this clean energy sector. With National Climate Bank funding, clean energy tax credits made possible by the Inflation Reduction Act, and expanded green energy financing options by the SBA announcing today, Massachusetts is poised to deliver on the IRA's historic climate dollars. And now, I want to turn it over to Administrator Guzman, who is going to share the details about today's announcement. She is an historic figure, and we welcome you to Massachusetts, Madam Administrator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate that. And, you know, Senator Markey has been a strong leader on our Senate Small Business Committee, really leaning into the impact small businesses have. We know they create 2/3 of net new jobs and power, you know, nearly half of our economy. So really, truly, as we focus on small businesses being part of the clean energy economy of the future, we all win. You know, in the 3.5 years of the Biden-Harris administration, you know, we've made incredible progress. And this historic legislation, the most significant climate change reform in the world, is really leading the way in not only helping communities fight climate change, but small businesses to be a part of the solution. And we are creating a market where, you know, businesses can fight climate change. They can be a part of the solution. They can create jobs. They can create economic opportunity in communities. And there's no better example of how we can deliver that than Indigo here today, you know, Indigo Block. This is a moment when government has come together with the private sector, with the community, to create a vision of an affordable housing community, as well as do it in a way that is sustainable for the future for the economy. As the SBA, I travel and see communities impacted by climate change and disaster on a regular basis. Just left Arkansas on my way to Texas next week. Climate change is impacting our small businesses at incredible rates and really you know, challenging their ability to continue undisrupted in their marketplaces. And there's this is truly, this vision at Indigo Block here is really delivering against President Biden and Vice President Harris's vision for a clean energy economy of the future. And something that, of course, Senator Markey worked so hard on is this Inflation Reduction Act. As we said, it's really to be joined here today by a small business, Resonant Energy, as well as one of the capital providers in the marketplace, you know, to be able to see how capital can be deployed to really advance business development, job creation, affordable housing, and clean energy is really remarkable. But to deliver change at that scale across the country and really make an impact and try to hit our goals by 2050 of net zero, we need more investment. We need more capital to be able to power that change. And the SBA, which is an agency that provides over $30 billion a year in lending alone, plus investment capital, disaster assistance, totaling over $50 billion annually in private capital partnerships and direct funding, has to be a part of the solution, because our small businesses need to be a part of the solution. You know, the EPA estimates that a third of the emissions are produced by small businesses, as well as residential neighborhoods, residences. And so they clearly need to be a part of this change, and to help small businesses and residences transition to clean energy, we need to ensure access to the funding and SBA's powerful lending programs that multiply in the economy and provide that critical capital that small businesses need to not only fund their transition, but as well to help residences convert in addition. And so I'm pleased to announce today that the Small Business Administration is stepping up to bring its incredible portfolio, private investment dollars, through the launch of our Green Lender Initiative. And it's really a whole of government approach, building on this incredible solution through the Inflation Reduction Act with the EPA's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, that green bank that Senator Markey referenced. Being able to build and partner with EPA, with Department of Energy, to make sure that there's capital for small businesses in the marketplace is really critical. So in the coming months, SBA is going to be recruiting, opening up its lending programs to green lenders, mission lenders who want to deploy capital to solve some of these challenges around climate change and invest in solar, invest in the conversion to energy efficiency across our businesses and residentials. And so SBA is going to begin accepting applications from new climate lenders to participate in its SBA portfolio, whether that's our micro lenders or those taking advantage of the SBA guarantee in our core portfolio through our Small Business Lending Company Initiative. We know that it's mission lenders like Dorchester Bay EDC, who of course financed and propelled this vision here at Indigo, that there are the critical partners on the ground. They're the ones who can help deploy SBA capital. So we need to continue to expand our mission lending base, expand the lenders who are interested in the green economy in particular to help power this transition, and make sure that climate-related small business loans are available and not only through SBA's incredible network, but those who are leveraging the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. And so that means if you're a community leader poised to receive that influx of capital from the EPA, you can now layer that with the SBA federal guarantee and recycle those dollars more quickly into the community so that we can see a multiplier effect across the nation. We're not just talking about rooftop solar, of course, but we're also talking about small businesses that are needed in this clean energy transition. It's everything from the installers, the contractors who are going to be making sure that we implement against the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as the small business innovators and small business clean energy companies that will be retrofitting their warehouses, shops, restaurants, manufacturing facilities as well. And by making sure that small businesses are aware of the opportunities that are available to them and connecting them to the capital providers to implement these important energy efficiency changes, we can help power a clean energy economy, an economy that fights climate change so that our communities are not impacted by disasters. I know that SBA in the next coming months is going to continue to deploy significant capital changes under the Biden-Harris administration. We've been able to transform our programs, providing a brand new working capital pilot program that can fund these small businesses as they go out to buy the solar, buy the heat pumps, buy everything that's needed for energy efficiency, and then convert residences and small businesses around the country. So I'm so proud that SBA is stepping in to ensure that small businesses are part of the solution, that we can, with a green strategy, ensure that our lenders are part of the solution, that our community network of resource partners can guide small businesses to these incredible programs, and that they can continue to power what President Biden and Vice President Harris envisioned, a clean energy economy that leaves no one behind, that ensures that affordability is implemented across projects so that every American can benefit from lower cost of energy, from protection and sustainability into the future. So thank you so much for coming.
Beautiful. Wow. So next, we're going to hear from Boston Climate Chief Officer Brian Sweat, the first in the nation.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Administrator, for choosing Boston to make this great announcement. And welcome to State Rep Worrell, and City Councilor Worrell. This is a great place to make this particular announcement, because in Boston, not only is climate change an existential threat for our way of life, but we have been investing in the solutions for a long time here. And it's great to see the financing opportunities and the emphasis on environmental justice communities and small business as a role. And as the Senator mentioned, we're doing this the right way. These are really good paying jobs in our neighborhood and our communities that are part of that solution. And these aren't jobs that can leave Boston. These are jobs that stay right here. We have a lot of work to do over the coming decades. So I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Brian Sweat, the Chief Climate Officer for the City of Boston. Thrilled to be here on behalf of Mayor Wu and talk about the federal government's work to expand eligible businesses that can receive funding for clean energy projects while making more funding available per project. This is a significant step forward for the collective journey towards a more sustainable and resilient future here in Boston and beyond. In Boston, we've seen firsthand the power of collaborative efforts through programs like this, through the Boston Community Choice Electricity Program, where all residents of Boston and small businesses can buy 100% green power through the collective purchasing of the City of Boston. In the first few years, we were at market parity with the base rate from Eversource, which was excellent. And then Renew Boston Trust, which was founded about 10 years ago, a very sophisticated model of using our purchasing power to invest in municipal buildings in a trust-based model, somewhat analogous to your announcement here today. These initiatives have been pivotal in reducing our carbon footprint, promoting energy efficiency, and ensuring that our residents and businesses can access clean and affordable energy, as well as the business opportunities that they provide. By leveraging the expertise and resources of seasoned green energy lenders, the SBA's plan aligns perfectly with our city's commitment to a clean energy and sustainability, and doing it at scale. We all know we need to increase, go from third gear to fourth gear to fifth gear very quickly, given the crisis in front of us. The integration of these experienced lenders into the SBA's framework will provide our local businesses with the financial tools and support they need to invest in green technologies. The partnership will not only spur economic growth, but enhance our community's resilience against the impacts of climate change. Together, with the support of the SBA and dedication of our local businesses here in Boston and throughout Massachusetts, we can continue to build a greener, more sustainable, and resilient future for all. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Isaac Baker of Resonant Energy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to both Administrator Guzman and to Senator Markey and Brian Sweat for having us out here. It was a delight to get to go up on the roof with you all and do a little tour of this project. So my name's Isaac Baker. I'm the co-CEO of Resonant Energy, which is a local Boston-based solar company that was founded in 2016 and is dedicated to expanding access to clean energy in the state, working with many of the types of projects that were previously getting left behind when we got started in 2016. As many folks know, the solar industry was known over the last 20 years for primarily serving middle or upper income suburban households, right, was what we think of when we think of solar. So when we got started, we said we want to change that picture and we want to be part of expanding the frontier. And that frontier looked like affordable housing projects, schools, nonprofits, and community organizations all across the state. And we planted our flag, and we said back in 2016, we're going to make those the types of projects that we start with to make sure that solar is happening. We are doing a just and equitable transition. Our first offices were located just a few miles down the road from here in Codman Square in Dorchester, in a church where we got our start with just 4 folks and some big hopes and dreams for what we wanted to accomplish. It is my unbelievable delight to be here 8 years later with Senator Markey, whose leadership at the federal level on climate has helped to make possible what in 2016 we previously couldn't have even dreamed of or imagined. This work, I want to tell you, was incredibly difficult in 2016. It was slow going. We had barriers up and down the supply chain at every step of the process where the tax credits were hard. They didn't work for nonprofits. The stuff was expensive. And there wasn't access to capital and financing. And as we know in our current economy, the easiest way to make a consumer product available, if you think about it like buying a car, right? You can own it, you can get a loan, you can get a lease. None of that existed for solar, right? It was just, here's an expensive thing, and if you have the money for it, you can pay for it, and otherwise it's not happening. We wanted to bring that same diligence and that same types of consumer offerings to the nonprofit and underserved markets and environmental justice communities so that it could be easy to do the right thing. It could be easy to say yes, reduce greenhouse gas emissions on their buildings. 8 years later, we're very proud. After the Inflation Reduction Act happened in 2022, we were able to double the size of our business, and we're growing very rapidly with access to capital being really the only thing standing between us and continuing to scale up. So announcements like the Small Business Administration's here today, the Inflation Reduction Act's $20 billion that will start to be made available in the coming months, these are going to take what is already a very rapidly expanding market with the fixes that have been made to the solar policy landscape in the wake of the Inflation Reduction Act even easier. And we're expecting to continue rapidly scaling these good jobs right here in Massachusetts and likely expanding regionally as we go from here. So we're very excited to be here announcing this project, and it is my pleasure to introduce Kimberly Lyle, CEO of Dorchester Bay Economic Development Corporation, a friend and colleague.
Thank you. Good morning or afternoon or whatever time it is. So I want to start by saying that Dorchester Bay is so grateful to you, Senator Markey, Administrator Guzman, to the Biden-Harris administration for this historic investment and announcement about how we're going to combat the climate crisis together. So we're marking Dorchester Bay's 45th year, and we see this project, this collaboration with Resonant and others, as an example of what's possible at the intersection of housing, investing in small businesses, job creation, transportation access, and climate resilience. And so the building you see, the solar panels, the T station behind us, those are all part of that. The savings from the solar panels that Isaac talked about enable us to do things like reinvest in our neighborhoods, to build more housing, to make more capital available to small businesses in our community, and to help folks get trained for these green jobs that you've heard about this morning. And so this innovation development was originally blighted and destined to become a storage yard. And through community advocacy and folks saying we want something different, we want something more, what we have here today is affordable housing that didn't displace current residents. We have commercial space that is bringing jobs into this neighborhood, and we have transportation access. So not only did Indigo Block achieve all of those things, it's an example of what Dorchester Bay is doing doing our part to combat climate change. So I do want to acknowledge that we are in a community that has been disproportionately impacted by climate change. And that's due to a legacy of racist land use policies, and we should name that. This is a neighborhood that's more likely to be flooded. This is a neighborhood that is much more vulnerable to extreme heat than other neighborhoods. And we have less green space in this neighborhood than others. Climate resiliency is one of Dorchester Bay's top priorities. Our communities, our very lives are at stake. And so we are glad to hear about the ways that we're going to invest in combating this crisis together. So how do you get affordable housing and jobs and transportation access and energy efficiency and climate resilience all in one spot? You do it through determination and through collaboration. Collaboration with small businesses like Resonant Energy, who have the technical expertise to help us get this figured out. And you also do it with other partners, like My Lamb of Escazú Development, who is a minority business whom we have made loans to through some of our SBA funds. And they came onto this project as a developer. So this is the intersection, again, of climate, of housing, of small business, and reinvesting in our communities. All of this is an example of that. And so I do want to call out that we at Dorchester Bay are committed to innovative, sustainable housing practices, investing in small businesses so that they can also get on board with this climate journey we all need to be on together. And this is what it looks like to invest in the most vulnerable communities. So thank you, Senator Markey, Administrator Guzman, and the Biden-Harris administration for your investment in climate solutions. By financing clean technology deployment in low-income communities and building the capacity of community lenders like Dorchester Bay, we're all advancing towards economic, housing, and climate justice together. And I think with that, we'll open it up.
Well, let me just
Yes.
one more second,
Yes.
if I can. Okay, and thank you
Yes.
for your great work. Thank you. Yeah, so back on February 7th of 2019, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and I introduced the Green New Deal, this is what we had in mind, and Mayor Wu endorsed it on day one, and Kamala Harris endorsed it on day one. A vision, a big vision for what our country can, in fact, do in order to fight climate change, but going community by community. And for those who doubt it, let them come to Dorchester. Let them come to Indigo, because it's happening here, and it's going to happen all across the country. So we're very, very proud of that. And in order to accomplish this, of course, we've got to have a united plan to get it done. And we need people from the community who are the elected representatives who are fighting at the state and federal level. And we have them here with us right now. And I'm going to first ask Brian Worrell, Boston City Councilor, to come up and to say a word, and then followed by his brother. So come on up. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a beautiful day, and I say that just because we are seeing what's possible in Indigo Block. As representing low to moderate income communities, environmental justice communities, this is a ray of hope for people in my neighborhood to understand that when we talk about building climate resilient buildings, we're not talking about displacement. We're talking about that they can live a home that's going to be cost saving here in the community that meets intentional small businesses, climate resiliency, and affordability, and they get to stay in their neighborhood. So this is the ray of hope, and it's powered by green energy. Clean energy can't not work unless it has some green energy. So the money that's coming from the SBA is helping making sure that these things are practical in our neighborhood. So looking forward to making sure that this model is taken across the country in other communities. So I want to thank the Biden and Harris. They agree with me, right? I want to thank the Biden and Harris administration, Senator Markey, for all your leadership, and also to the administration for all your work on this front. Thank you.
And the other part of this dynamic duo, Chris Farrell, the state representative from the community. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning, everyone. I got about 3 more minutes before it becomes afternoon, but Indigo Block has this right, providing green energy to a building, and behind me you see the Fairmont line, and on the state level we're trying to make that electrified. So this whole corridor right here is going to be the super green energy, and thank you for the Biden-Harris administration, Senator Markey, and everyone that's a part of this contribution today. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. You can hear the celebration, and here's what I'll say. I mean, you're going to hear this now at the Democratic National Convention. Now that Kamala Harris is going to be our nominee, it's going to be the Democratic National Celebration. That's what we're going to have, and there'll be noisemakers everywhere that are absolutely elated that we have a brand new nominee off and ready to deliver